I think every guy watching right now is nodding their head. Here to unlock the mystery is sex therapist Dr. Laura Berman. Thank you so much for coming.
Sure.
But let's talk about this because it fascinates me. How common is it for one partner to be, sex-driven all the time and the other, how common is that?
Pretty common. Well, it's certainly extremely common to have uneven desire. That's the most prominent problem that I see, where one person wants it more than the other. But it's also quite common, and it's more often than the men who want it more. Although one in five men, yes.
Well, what about all those websites that I hear nowadays? Women, you want to have an affair because your husband's not.
It's not only. It's usually the women are wanting affairs. Not 1 in 5 men in this country now do have low desire. But usually when women want affairs, it's because they're not getting the romance and the connection and the validation they want. It's rarely about sex and getting the physical act of sex. For men, it's often about getting the physical act of sex, but not so much for women. But women are typically the ones who are less interested in sex, and the men are more typically the ones that are frustrated in the relationship.
Okay, so, let's say assume that I'm frustrated.
Okay, let's assume.
Let's assume away.
Right.
How do I get things moving?
All right, so let me tell you what you don't do. And this is because men are problem solvers, right?
Right.
So they say, okay, she's not interested. What would I do? What would I want to happen if I wasn't interested? Well, it must be that we need more spice or that she needs more response, because that would make me not interested. So they have a wife who has no desire. They go to the store and they buy 20,000 toys and outfits and things to spice things up.
Right.
And they bring them home all happy, and
right.
she gets mad. Right? Because she's not interested in sex. And he's thinking, well, if I wasn't interested, that would be the cause. But the reason she's not interested is rarely because she's bored in the bedroom. It's because she has no baseline desire. And usually that's either because of a medical or physical reason, hormonal or medication, or because she's not feeling the emotional connection to the person she's going to have sex with. Now, the irony is when she's not interested in sex, he's less tuned into her and less emotionally connected to her. So the less sex she has with him, the less romance she's going to get.
All right, let's take the medical piece out.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's always the easy answer.
Yeah,
I always
that's
see,
straightforward.
That's the hormones, the thyroid, I don't know, the antidepressants,
you gotta
whatever.
Look at that, but that's
obvious. Let's say that's not happening.
Yeah.
Okay. We have, can you train somebody to like sex?
Yes, I can.
Well, you can. Can a husband or a partner do?
Yeah, you know what? No. That's the thing. The only thing that the husband or the partner can do is focus on the connection and the relationship, and ironically taking the pressure off and increasing the sensuality without the sexuality, because that seems to be a big thing for women. If you just make out with her and refuse to have sex with her, there's no way this is going to lead to sex. She'll often get her fires going, So there are things he can do with regard to romance, connection, but often it comes from inside her, and he can't fix it. The only thing he can do is encourage her to get the help she needs to get a different relationship with her sexuality, because I find that many women, especially in our generation, are disconnected to sex. Sex is a means to an end. It's a way to get the guy. They're not even really conscious of it. It's not a manipulation. But they don't really feel connected to their own sexuality for its own sake and the pleasure it can give them.
All right. Let's say using some of the professional techniques that you use, okay? For some men, sex is a very non-traditional encounter, right?
Yeah.
Almost pornographic in nature.
Yeah.
Right. And for a lot of men, that's a turn-on. Can that be put on the table as an option to maybe see what she likes?
Yes, it should be able to be put on the table as an option. The problem is that with most women with low desire, that's the last thing she wants to be doing is some
nothing
kooky,
raunchy,
crazy.
Nothing pornographic per se.
At first, the idea is that once she gets her libido going again, then she's going to be a lot more open to the fantasies and the trying new things.
Right.
But when she's not into it, the last thing she feels like doing is swinging from the chandeliers.
So we got to get her first in the mood.
Yes.
And in the mood is a complicated psychological brouhaha.
Yes.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
it is.
How
long does it take? And you see couples like this. And they come complaining. It
Yeah.
has been, let's say I want sex every day. She never wants sex. We haven't had sex in 6, 7 months.
Yeah.
I can't take this. I'm going to walk away. This is leading up to a divorce. How much time do you give it?
When I see couples, usually within 3 months. If they're working on it, within 3 months, I've got them going pretty well.
Really?
But yeah, assuming we're attending to any medical issues.
Right. Put the medical issues aside.
Yeah, then I can, absolutely. If they're both willing to work on it, it's always something. And there isn't like a huge sexual trauma that has to be resolved in her history. We can usually get things back on track pretty quickly.
You mentioned in some of the talking points that I have, romance, of course, put her first. Hot spots. What is that?
Okay, so a lot of times, sex begets more sex. So if she has sex and she enjoys it and it feels good, then it will help spur on her libido. And so sometimes it's knowing what you need to do to sexually stimulate her. So, the cost-benefit analysis has to work in favor of having sex. If she has to work really hard, the guy she's with doesn't know what he's doing. She doesn't necessarily know what he could do differently. She's not responding. It's a lot of work for a little reward. She's not going to really be that interested. So if he knows what to do.
That helps. I'll give you this is the last question. When is too much sex not good? In other words, when does it become pathological? We always hear about sex addicts.
Yeah, I don't really buy into the sex
neither
addict
do I,
yeah.
by the way, but
I think it's an excuse that cheaters use to get sympathy.
Right, but let's say we hear this all the time that that individuals are sex addicts or they spend too much time watching porn on the internet, and therefore if you spend X amount of is there